2, 3, 4.
Where arts and culture summits the airwaves, this is episode 2 of the Nine Rails Arts Podcast. I am R. Brandon Long alongside Todd Obendorfer, and we are the Banyan Collective, arts and adventure podcasting since 2010. This episode includes an interview with Alicia Washington of Good Company Theater, along with the entire cast and director of Green Day's American Idiot, a musical rock opera, with performances running August 16th through August 27th at the Ogden Amphitheater. We also spoke with musical director for the Hudson Valley Philharmonic, Anchorage Symphony, and Flagstaff Symphony, along with many times Utah Symphony Guest Conductor Randall Craig Fleischer, who joined us in Tanvan, our mobile podcast studio up at Snowbasin, before the Utah Symphony Frank Sinatra and Ella Fitzgerald songbook performance. Ogden Symphony Ballet Association Executive Director Melissa Klein also spoke to us about the OSBA's mission and upcoming events. Finally, during Ogden's First Friday Art Stroll, we followed Thaine Fischer, developer of the new Monarch building, through a hard hat tour of the old Ben Lomond parking garage on 25th and Ogden. The Monarch building will serve as the epicenter of the new Nine Rails Arts District. Little banjo from our house band, The Proper Way. Thank you so much, The Proper Way.
I will never, ever get tired of his banjo.
No, it's good. A little different from hard guitar from Green Day. Maybe not quite as punk. Maybe some would argue with us on that, but
maybe in some way some sort of post-punk, pre-punk.
Something like that for sure. So we did sit down with the director and the entire cast of Good Company Theater's production of Green Day's American Idiot. So here's that interview now. Okay, we are sitting down here at Good Company Theater with Alicia here. Alicia, yes. The place looks different. Like you've done some work.
Well, we have to. I mean, this building was finished being built in 1913. It is on the historical site, and we thought it needed a few improvements. But that's also part of the mission of Good Company Theater, is we go into alternative spaces and we create theater. We create plays, musicals, original pieces, and we wanted a piece of the heart of Ogden, and I think we got a gem with this space.
Alicia Washington with Good Company Theater, and tell us about your business partner real quick.
My business partner, you mean my sister,
yeah.
My big sister, the boss of them all.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, Camille Washington. She's about it.
Mm-hmm.
We opened this business together 6 years ago, just as wanting to be a part of the growing art scene in Ogden. And we wanted a piece of that. So we thought a theater company would be a good addition. Theater is my number one love. And I guess I'm Camille's number one love, is her being my big sister. And she said, sure, Mom, I'll make sure she doesn't mess it up.
I love it. So we're here tonight with, is this the full cast?
This is the full cast of Green Day's American Idiot. We have 16 people in the cast.
Well, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us on the Nine Rails Podcast. I love it. This is going to sound great. So this is a production that is not going to be held in the studio.
In our location at 2404. Nope. We're going to be over at Ogden's Amphitheater. This is our third year presenting a large musical over at the amphitheater.
So the amphitheater is a public space, but this is an explicit play. Is that correct?
I mean, if you want to start off nice, sure. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is a musical set to the music of Green Day.
Yeah.
So if you're familiar with their work, it does have some mature content in it.
I'm just curious because I reacquainted myself with the album today, listened to it, and I think they all said that each song was explicit on Spotify. So I thought, well, do you keep it like that, or is it toned down for the performance, or how? That's the question. Yeah.
Well, thank you. No, it is 100% true to the original Broadway musical, which does have some frank adult language and situations.
Very good.
That was so nice. Yeah, I think you worded that just perfectly. Yeah.
Frank.
I know Frank. I use him often. Frank and I go way back. Okay, so who are our leads here tonight?
Why don't we have them introduce themselves
Yeah.
so I don't screw up last names?
I love
think
it.
that's
Yes,
perfect.
yes. Let's go ahead and introduce yourselves.
I am Timothy Swenson, and I play Johnny in American Idiot.
Okay.
I'm Austin Archer. I'm the director and choreographer of the show.
So you have two hats in this.
Yeah, that's
Is
right.
this a background specifically like this is made for you?
Yeah, well, I started off on the other side of the table as a choreographer. I've been doing choreography for years, and just recently, the last few years, started directing a little bit more. But yeah, usually shows like this that are really movement heavy and that like big picture shows that have a lot of movement are good for me to just kind of do both, so I don't have to work a go between, with someone else. Yeah.
How is the raw clay that is your cast? Are they all taking to the choreography well?
Oh yeah, they're awesome, and it's so cool working with like different experience levels. But this show, I keep telling everyone, it's just punching, running, and jumping, and so it's not really like you need to be like a classically trained ballerina or anything to do this show. Anyone can learn how to punch,
Wait,
run, and jump.
You had to teach how to mosh? Is that?
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
It's like it's organized moshing. It's very aerobic. It's very athletic. There's a lot of sweating that goes on in rehearsal. I mean, really, the first 20 minutes of the show, these guys are just running and twisting and jumping and punching and headbanging for nonstop. I mean, it's really crazy. Yeah.
Now I'm very familiar with moshing.
You look like a mosher.
You look like you've been throwing some bows. Yeah.
But that still goes on in shows, doesn't it? That's a thing everybody's familiar with, isn't it still?
Like at concerts?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
theater. Like a theater.
Oh, yeah, at the theater.
All the time at the theater, yeah.
That's
Running,
actually our
punching.
pre-show that we do for all of our
Yeah,
audiences.
I saw a production of Hamlet last year where I just got a black eye because there was a big pit that went on
It
before the
stood
show
out.
started.
That show stood out. I
Yeah,
remember it now. Yeah.
No one here that I can tell has a black eye, so everyone's doing it wrong. That's all I'm saying. You got to step up your mosh game.
And a few things about Austin is he did graduate from Weber State University. He attended Weber State University, and he directed our show, our musical last year in the Heights. And so as a producer, we're pleased that he's back, and his expression through movement is one of a kind. He understands the vocabulary of movement like no one I've worked with before. So I'm really excited for audiences to see what he's done and how the cast executes the movement perfectly.
So do you
I
live
like
and
the
work in
perfectly
Ogden?
part. That was good at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, perfectly. Do you live and work in Ogden, Austin?
I don't. I actually just moved back to Salt Lake from New York about like 7 weeks ago. And I'm kind of here in between. I might be moving to Los Angeles in the fall. Who knows? But I spent 4 years living here when I went to school here. And I've done, I think, 3 shows with Good Company now, and a show at the Ziegfeld, and so I've been around here.
So you know Ogden well. You think Ogden is ready for this show? I'm so excited for this choice
Oh, I think
for
this
a
is
public space.
I think this is very right for Ogden. I think that especially with everything that's been going on with Ogden Twilight and how successful that's been at that space, and really seeing the turnouts that come out for that, and also seeing the people who came out for our show last year for In the Heights. And In the Heights is a show that has adult content and adult themes, and not quite on the level of American Idiot. It's a little bit more wholesome and joyous, but I definitely think that Ogden's gonna eat this show up.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get somebody else in front of the mic over here. I'll kind of move aside a little too.
Okay, Tim.
Yes.
You are who in the play?
I play Johnny. He
Okay.
is one of the 3 boys that they are in Nowhere, USA, kind of tired of what's going on around them. They dream of a better life and kind of hit the ground running, and I'm kind of the leader of the pack and really push for us to go find a life that we agree with and that we support and have always dreamed of. So
What are you doing outside of the studio, the stage here, to prepare for your role and background and kind of get into it?
So sleep as much as possible, which is tough. I'm a scenic carpenter down in Salt Lake City.
Okay.
So my background is very much in theater. I've been doing it for probably over 10 years now, mostly behind the scenes, but I am very passionate about American Idiot. I grew up listening to the album, the original Green Day album. Went to the American Idiot tour in Salt Lake when I was in 6th grade with my father and my friend. And then when the they came out with this show for Broadway, I have been living and breathing this music. And so when I saw that Good Company was producing the show, I definitely had to come down and audition. But as far as prepping for the show, it's a lot of stretching, making sure your neck is okay, because, I mean, it really is a lot of headbanging after
Running, punching,
and jumping for sure.
A little CrossFit on the side.
A little bit, yeah. So
what is the hardest thing for you during this production? What has been the hardest thing for you?
I would say for me, hard is kind of a loaded term for this show, because while the show is so intense, knowing the show as well as I have and being given this opportunity to portray this character, I would say getting to know the character better than I ever have. I thought I knew who Johnny was before coming into this experience, but leaving rehearsal every night, I find a new appreciation for the album. And I would say, the show does include some tough life lessons, and so I would say for me it's getting to those places mentally to portray this character in a way that does the book justice, but coming out of it and smiling at the end of rehearsal. That sounds kind of dark, but it's an intense show.
This is a pretty good time too, I think, to bring in your friends, your characters' friends, because these aren't just casual chums,
Yeah.
And so on stage, off stage, has that developed, as it should? How much have you sort of grown off stage as well as on? And it's a good time to introduce you for you guys too.
Yeah, sure. This is Sean Bishop. I play Will, one of the three.
And I'm Taylor Knuth, and I play Tunny, one of the three.
I was wondering how you say that. Tunny?
Tunny.
Okay. It's two N's, not Toonie.
Tunny.
Yeah, it's Tunny.
Tuna. It's short for tuna fish, actually.
Tuna fish. Okay. Eats a lot of sandwiches. Yeah.
He's just real hungry. Obviously would have been me if that was the case.
Yeah.
That's the backstory. See, that's what I wanted to know. It's the tuna fish. All right, we got that.
Okay.
So what was the question? I
The
forgot.
friendship amongst these guys.
Yeah. I think that's kind of central to the show, because I think when I first saw anything about American Idiot, I kind of thought it would be a lot more like other musicals that are based on artist music, like jukebox, like Beautiful and those things that kind of just tell the story directly of those people. This one doesn't necessarily. It's kind of more fictional, and I think it is centered on, Green Day's a 3-piece band, and there are these 3 major characters, and it probably takes a lot from their lives, but they're not named the same, and it's kind of more ambiguous than that. But part of it is just the big central part of the whole show is these 3, and watching them and how they start out in the same place and end up spiraling off into these 3 very different versions of your dreams coming true or not coming true, mostly not in this show. So it's not really about Green Day's rise to fame. It's kind of more what maybe would have happened if they weren't as lucky as they were, growing up where they did and then really not hitting it big. So...
Taylor, what is something the audience may learn about your character during the show?
Tunny's kind of the outlier of the 3 boys. We talk about how Tunny is more of the straight edge character, if you understand punk culture at all. He's the one that you really don't want to mess with. He kind of just stands in the background, and I don't know if he necessarily fits in, which is why his character ultimately gets to the city and he leaves it. In the script, it describes Tunny as the guy that goes to the city and then to the Middle East. He ends up joining up and going to fight a war that I don't know if he was ready to fight. So I think they'll learn kind of the challenges that face this character and how he copes with them. He finds Extraordinary Girl, which is a character in the show that comes to his rescue after a battle, and that's where he finds his resolve, is in Extraordinary Girl.
I think it's a good time to meet Extraordinary Girl.
She's pretty extraordinary. Here she comes.
She's here.
And Extraordinary Girl's name?
My name is Liz Corona.
Like the beer.
Like the beer.
Yeah.
Or the outermost layer of the sun.
I like that one.
That's science.
That's science.
Way better than my eyeball or whatever.
That's hot.
It's a cornea.
Cornea. Corona. Way better. Yeah, for sure. Extraordinary girl. What makes her extraordinary?
I think it's kind of what Taylor said in that, I think she's just kind of an ordinary girl, but is so extraordinary to his character because she comes in at the right time to save him. And I think everybody has an extraordinary girl in their life, at the right time. So I think she's just kind of ordinary in all honesty. She's just kind of this gal that just is there to be there for him at the right time. So that's what makes her extraordinary.
See, now we're supposed to come up with transitions into the next introduction, and so that will be your role.
Okay.
So how can we introduce another member of the cast?
Okay, watch.
Through Extraordinary Girl.
Okay, here we go. This is improv. Here we go.
Da 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 da.
My name is Extraordinary Girl today. I think one of my favorite parts of the show is when we do the number Favorite Son. Because that really kicks off the whole going to war soldier aspect of the show is when we get to meet the favorite son, played by
me, Jake.
That was seamless. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We only need to hear me. That's what, yeah.
Yes.
That's great.
And you are?
My name's Jake Holt. Yes, I play what is called the favorite son. He is the ideal soldier persona that ultimately persuades Thaine to leave the city and go to fight the war. And so he's basically a singing, dancing caricature of a soldier. Like when you watch the commercials on TV of Army.com and everything, and it just shows like all the glory and all the I guess it glorifies the fighting aspect of fighting the war. And that's
I was just going to say, I don't ever see him singing and dancing in the commercials, but yeah.
But sometimes they're very
shows like
happy with what they're doing.
Right.
Never say never, though. Like we could get that as a commercial at some point.
I might join if that's the case.
Same.
Okay, and how deep are these roles? Because now we're off the three main characters. So,
I wouldn't say that they're deep is not the word I would use. They just each play their role to symbolize like everyone sort of, I guess, supplements the three main characters after them. It's their story. And so, like with Extraordinary Girl and Favorite Son, both of their stories are directly connected to Thaine. And so, yeah, it helps to tell his story, which is about kind of the war and all the complications that go along with that.
All right, so you know how this is going to work.
How's
We're going to
that?
introduce another cast member through your
you got to
character.
keep it going, yep.
Absolutely. Well, they come as a package, you could say. Their names are Alicia and Theo. And they play a pretty important role in the romance side of the story.
I was waiting for some romance. Yeah.
Yeah, Alicia and what's her name?
Okay.
And you are?
I am Savannah Moffat, and I play What's Her Name. This is a great
What's Her Name?
segue.
Yeah.
Liz.
What's her name? Now, that's one of the songs, right?
Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep, one of the songs that I am not in.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
You're in our minds.
Yes.
So how are you guys tied together, you two? And you are?
My name's Carly Lowry. I play Alicia. So that was the first segue.
Yes.
And then there was a second segue that happened into What's Her Name. So Alicia, and we've got Theo here.
Yes, I'm Theo. My name is Derek Gregerson.
Happy to be here.
Thank you. Sweet.
Thanks for having us. Thank you so much for having us.
Okay, yes. And tell us, what you do, how are you related here in this production?
Well, we are a part of the ensemble. We get to do a really cool duet along with our friends. Sean, you met Sean, and Caroline. Caroline's back there. So the character that's been left behind, our main man, what's his name? Will. I don't
Seems
do
like
podcasts.
a good refresher too. That's
I'm
all right.
shocked.
We're just
You
hanging
got
out.
time.
It's
This is all practice. Yeah. We're still in rehearsal mode.
It's not what's his name, but what's her name. but we kind of facilitate that relationship and kind of talk about the struggles that, you have when you're left behind, when your friends leave you behind, and, life isn't necessarily going your way, and your girlfriend's like, why are you sitting on the couch all the time, bro? And your girlfriend's friends are like, why is your boyfriend sitting on the couch all the time, bro?
I feel like you're talking to me. Is this my story? Yes.
So you'll connect.
I've had this conversation. Yes, I have.
So you'll connect with some storylines.
I think that everyone can connect to every character in some way or another.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's kind of the idea on this.
What do you think, Theo?
I mean, Theo is just your typical stoner. He just.
How'd you practice? How'd you get into this?
I'm very method, so a lot of practicing. Yeah, he's also very sensitive.
Very.
I think he's just there to support Will, and whatever Will's character is going through, he's just there to help him out and just to do all the drugs. So it's a great time.
I think everyone needs a Theo, so thank you.
Yeah, anytime, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we know how this works. We got to bring up some more people.
For sure. Well, we haven't heard from what's her name, so
Okay.
she's
I'll
sitting next
jump
to
in.
me, and
Yeah.
she's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. So what's her name is Johnny's love interest once he gets to the city. It's kind of this crazy relationship that starts up really out of the blue. And then they just kind of go through this crazy wild journey together and end up doing some heroin, having all kinds of fun, as you do in a
That's like date
stable
number
relationship.
3, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's like night one.
Night 1, okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Todd's
100%.
dates are different than mine. But yeah. Got it.
But she's kind of the one that in the end is the only one that kind of stands up to him and makes him shape up essentially. And so I think that's pretty exciting.
Thank you. What's your name?
Thanks.
All right, transition into another character.
Speaking of heroin, we have our lovely, fabulous star child here. We have Saint Jimmy.
My name is Seth Foster, and I play Saint Jimmy in the show. He's kind of the villain of the show, honestly. He's a super dark, kind of crazy, when I explain him to people, I refer to him as the human embodiment of a heroin addiction. And so him and Johnny have this relationship where he's just a total enabler, and he gets Johnny into so much trouble, and he kind of creates these messes to keep Johnny all to himself, I guess. But he's a crazy guy. He's been a lot of fun to get to know. It's nothing like I've ever played before on stage. So it's been really interesting for me to kind of go to those dark and twisty places and really bring St. Jimmy out. It's really fun.
So naming names, who did you pattern that character after?
Oh dear. I mean,
totally kidding.
It doesn't have to be a person.
I know. I was honestly, it's just been. I did a lot of video research online and looking into drug addictions and stuff like that, and it got kind of dark, and I just really wanted to not make it as real as possible, but I wanted to make it scary. I wanted St. Jimmy to be a scary guy, and you didn't know what kind of crazy thing he was gonna do next. And our awesome director really helped me out with that. Austin told me he's just that guy that you don't know if he's just gonna punch you in the face or kick you on a curb or whatnot. And so it's been really interesting to bring that intensity and that kind of crazy psycho energy. It's been really weird, really interesting.
What's he wearing? Let's talk about costumes for this. Who is the costumer here? Are you guys taking care of costumes?
Who's the
yourself?
costumer?
Are you guys kind of taking care of that from a director standpoint? Or I do know costumes are important for this. Yeah. Let's talk about your character's costume.
So he's actually wearing
black all the time.
Well, yeah, he wears these awesome boots that I've been obsessed with. I've been working in them for a few weeks, and they're incredible. They really help bring the character in. And then just a solid black tank and some shorts. He just looks kind of like a badass.
It's about the boots.
Oh, it's all about the boots. Oh yeah, and heavy guy liner. It's great. It's great. But yeah, our incredible costume designer has been doing a wonderful job.
Perfect. All right, so who haven't we met?
I'm Caroline. I play Heather. I'm Will's girlfriend, and I get pregnant, and I essentially make him stay home from his friend's escapade in the city. and I have the child. Long story short, leave him. It's a big ordeal. That's what goes on throughout the show.
Too much too soon.
Yeah, that's what she was referring to in the duet. It's the big breaking point.
I think that sounds like a significant character. Are you enjoying this?
I'm thoroughly enjoying this. Yes.
I love that. Now, personally, I don't know if I'll be able to relate to your character, but to some degree, I
Me
maybe.
either.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, it's been really hard to.
I have accidental fur babies too, so yeah, I think that's it.
It's happened.
They do.
So I guess I can relate. Never mind. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been tough to go there. I mean, I've never had a kid or been pregnant, so it's tough to like think about actually what I would do if that was the case. And so it's.
Have you been able to find someone in Utah that's pregnant?
I will say I notice pregnant people so much more now.
Yes.
I never see them until
There's
now.
so many.
Yeah, there are. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, who just sat down here?
I am Pedro Pete Flores, and I am the ensemble. I also play a fellow called Miguel, and rock and roll boyfriend. I'm actually Heather's like rebound in the song. She like flaunts me around and in front of Will because I guess she wants him to be more like me. I don't know.
You have the hair.
I think
That's
we're all
why,
saying
yeah.
obviously. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Way better looking. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nah. But yeah, that's who I play in the show.
Okay, cool. And
my name's Dee. I play Chase. I'm really just here to wiggle in the background and fill out the sound because all I am is a singer.
A magnificent singer at that.
Yeah, give us a little something here, Dee.
I am
Extraordinary Girl.
Oh yeah, in Extraordinary Girl, I've been given the chance to. Oh, you want me to sing like just on the spot? Shit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, that's just bonus. I was fine with just seeing you wiggle. That would have been fine. But the singing is so much more. Yeah, so thank you for that. Yeah.
I was not expecting that. Yeah, that was really good. Now we got two more coming
Two
up, stepping
more.
up to the chairs here, or two or three. We got room for one more.
Okay, hi, I'm Cassidy Wixon. I play Libby, and I also have the wonderful job of being the dance captain in this show.
What?
The dance captain.
Yeah, so that means I have to know all the dances back and forth, and I also get to kick their butts and warm them up every day before we start.
Oh, you are the captain. Yeah, okay.
How's the response? How's the
Depends
response?
on the day.
Yeah?
Depends on the day. We all know we got to get in shape, so they follow along.
How long is the show? The
It's
duration
about
of the
an
show?
hour and a half.
And it's pretty much an
right?
hour and a half of just solid movement.
Yeah, we have no intermission, so we just go for an hour and a half straight.
So the importance of this is, the significance. So thank you for your place in that. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm another one of the people that she slave drives around with dancing. My name is Jake Trumbo. I'm part of the ensemble for this show.
My name is Daisy Allred. I'm also part of the ensemble.
Ensemble meaning the dancers.
Yeah. We have names.
Singing and
He
dancing.
has a name. His name's Gerard. My name's Leslie. But they're actually just the names of the people who played the ensemble in the Broadway.
Oh, okay.
So that's pretty cool.
Okay, so I have a question. I remember being ensemble in a couple of productions back in high school. This is a very long time ago. I don't think any of them had a name. But what difference does that make? Because I still saw my part as significant in the overall production. And, the experience was still there for me as far as giving or having a name for your character as an ensemble character. Does that make a difference for you? Do you create a little bit more of a character for that? Is that not anything you've thought of?
Well, I feel like this show is so much about us all as individuals, and it's so important for each of us all to have an individual story and really acting in the moments when we don't have a lot to do, because we're all going on the journey with the three of them, and we all come home with the three of them. And so I think us all just having individual names that we can follow our track, because it's the same in the music score. We have names that we follow and everything. It just really helps clarify that we all have individual stories that we're telling in this. We're not just an ensemble. We're all the storytellers of this story.
That's the right answer. So well done. Yeah, that's
See, because I was just going to say, I think they gave us names so they didn't have to be consistent in the music. And they definitely are not. We're all over the place in the music. And that has been a fun journey on its own.
Hi.
I just want to finish with that. Like, that's no, we want to get to know you as well. Yeah.
It's all good. My name is Aaron Cole. I play the character Declan. He's in the ensemble as well.
He's only been doing it for a week.
Declan, yeah. I came in late to the game. Somebody dropped because life happens, and I stepped in to fill those shoes.
You having a good time?
Oh, it's great. I'm
Excellent. Well, thank you for filling in.
And
Yeah.
he's slaying it.
Yeah, I'm doing okay.
You know what I hear? I hear you're slaying it, though.
News on the street is you're doing pretty good, dude.
I'll take it.
All right, so let's get is that it? Everyone had a chance to get up here? So we will listen to a live performance after Alicia tells us again the dates and where we can get tickets and why everyone should come see American Idiot at the Ogden Amphitheater.
Tickets are available at goodcotheater.com. Tickets run $20 for general admission and then $25 for reserved seats. And I have to tell you, there's not a bad seat in the house. If you've been there for Twilight or any other of the amazing arts events that happen in there, you know that you can bring in a picnic, actually, and you can bring in a blanket, your chairs, your people, and sit on the lawn, or you can have a reserved chair. We encourage you to bring pillows with that. But the show starts at dusk, so doors open at 7:30. And like all the ensemble said, the show runs about 90 minutes, and it is an incredible journey and a nice time to reflect of what it was to be in your early 20s or late 20s and trying to figure it out, or in your 30s or 40s trying to figure it out.
You were talking about me just now, weren't you?
I wasn't looking at you at all. But it's an opportunity to just reflect on what it is to be in that turmoil of what it is for that next step and that next chapter of your life, and to watch all of these incredible performers bring this music to stage, on the stage to life, along with we have a live band as well. And so it's just really going to be an amazing time with some superb storytelling.
So why American Idiot?
Why American Idiot? So we do theme every season, and this year our theme, our Good Company Theater season theme, is called Under Pressure. And it's a season exploring love, whether it's exploring love, romantic love, love of self, love of country. And I feel like you explore all of those themes within one show.
It's fun to watch what you choose to bring to Good Company Theater each season. So
thank you.
Have you kept track? What is this going to be for you?
As far as what?
Yeah, from the beginning to now, how many productions? What are you?
Oh,
Have you done the math before?
We produce at least 5 shows a year. At one point, we were up to 8 with the cabarets and drag shows that we were doing.
Bring them back. Bring them back.
So actually, fun fact, Austin Archer, our director and choreographer, was in our first ever production, which was Cowboy Mouth by Sam Shepard and Patti Smith. So we're we're getting up to at least, I want to round it up to 40.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That's awesome.
All right, tell us what we're going to hear.
Once we get it all queued up, we will hear American Idiot. It opens the show with all the energy that you would expect it to.
Wow, exciting. Awesome. Thank you so much, Alicia.
Thank you.
Don't wanna be an American idiot.
Don't want a nation under the new media. They can hear the sound of hysteria.
The subliminal mindfuck America. Welcome to a new kind of tension all across the alien nation, where everything isn't meant to be okay. Television dreams of tomorrow. We're not the ones meant to follow, for that's enough to argue. Well, maybe I'm the faggot, America. I'm not a part of your redneck agenda. Everybody do the propaganda and sing along to the age of paranoia. Welcome to a new kind of tension all across the alien nation, where everything isn't meant to be okay. Television dreams of tomorrow, we're not the ones meant to follow, for that's enough to argue. One nation controlled by one nation controlled by. Don't wanna be an American idiot. One nation controlled by one nation controlled by. Don't wanna be an American idiot. One nation controlled by one nation controlled by. Information ain't time hysteria. It's calling out to idiot America. Welcome to a new kind of tension all across the alien nation, where everything isn't meant to be okay. Television dreams of tomorrow, we're not the ones meant to follow, for that's enough to argue. Hey!
So a quick reminder, Good Company Theater is presenting Green Day's American Idiot August 16th through 27th. Performances start at 8 p.m. at the Ogden Amphitheater. Ticket prices are going to range from $20 to $25. Nice little local insight is our favorite vinyl store on 25th Street, Lavender Vinyl. We'll have, I'm guessing the GA, the $20 tickets on sale for $17.
Save $3.
$3 is $3.
$3 is $3.
$3 is half a drink. Or a third of a drink. I think we found that out, yeah.
All right, so we also drove tan van up to Snowbasin before the Utah Symphony Frank Sinatra and Ella Fitzgerald songbook performance, where we interviewed guest conductor Randall Craig Fleischer, along with the Ogden Symphony Ballet Association Executive Director Melissa Klein. We were lucky to be sitting down here at Snowbasin before a concert with conductor Randall Craig Fleischer. Welcome to Tan Van, Randall. It's very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you guys. My pleasure.
All right, so we're in the mountains up at Snowbasin, and you're in LA, but you've conducted symphonies even in Alaska. So I'm assuming you're somewhat at home here. And Deer Valley, is that right?
Yes. Well, I'm still the music director of the Anchorage Symphony. This coming season will be my 20th year. I have a symphony in Ohio where I grew up, the Youngstown Symphony. I grew up in Canton, actually. And I'm the music director of a third symphony in just north of New York City, the Hudson Valley Philharmonic. And I'm lucky to go all over the world as a guest conductor.
So as you travel all over the world, how do you, with the different symphonies, how do you take on those personalities, and how do you get them each to perform at their best each night?
Well, it's a question of sort of guiding with love, if you will, more along the lines of encouragement. Now, an orchestra like the Utah Symphony, this is a world-class symphony, and we have a phenomenal rhythm section and two amazing singers. So I just kind of start waving my hands and we go, and that's kind of that. They're great at what they do. I'm clear with my baton, and I know these songs and everything like that. Everybody really can do their job well, so it's just like, boom, we're off and running.
Do you enjoy that more, or do you enjoy a little bit more work?
I like the more detailed. I think any conductor would say, I like the typical 4 or 5 rehearsal, full classical thing where you can really dig into the piece, make your mark on it, and live it. But, this is fun too. My dad was a drummer in a swing band. Sinatra. I grew up with Sinatra and Ella. So I kind of love, I had a show run on Broadway that I co-created, Rocktopia, which is a big rock fusion thing. I'm an American musician. My models are Bernstein and, Aaron Copland and Morton Gould and those guys who were classically trained, and they were primarily classical musicians, but they had curiosities, interests, and passions in different directions.
How does that work as far as conducting in the different cities? You said you kind of hang your hat in L.A.
That's home.
And then
yeah.
how much time do you spend in each of the cities for rehearsal before shows?
Well, I mean, it's usually a week per concert if it's a classical show. If it's pops, it's usually one rehearsal and on we go. So I'm in Anchorage, 12 or 14 weeks a year. I'm in Youngstown 12 or 14, 15 weeks a year. I'm in Poughkeepsie 5 or 6 weeks a year, and then I'm on a plane guest conducting somewhere. So I'm basically traveling more than half the year.
Do you love it?
I do.
You
I don't
still love it, I should say?
I love.
He has kids and a family.
I have
too,
a daughter.
so,
yeah, she's going off to college this fall, so I better love it because
Oh.
college is expensive.
Yes, sir.
I love being a musician. I love being a conductor and a composer arranger. I must tell you, the schlepping has gotten way old.
Yeah.
Airports and flight delays and waiting for your baggage and crammed into the little seat. That part is old. Once I get off the plane, I love it.
Okay, so this next question comes from Ogden's own conductor, Michael Palumbo.
Mm-hmm.
He's also the conductor for the Chamber Orchestra Ogden. And he was curious to know what some of your favorite pieces are to conduct.
Oh, gosh. I used to answer that question, same as who are my favorite composers, whomever I'm conducting that day.
Yeah, that's
the
canned one?
Exactly. It's when I compose.
But after a few beers, you would answer it like...
My two favorite composers are Beethoven and Stravinsky. But I hasten to say, Mozart, Brahms, Copland, Bernstein, Tchaikovsky, Mussorgsky, Puccini, all the E's. I love them all. I'm so blessed that I live my life as a musician almost entirely immersed in somebody else's genius and trying to bring that to life. So I can tell you the most difficult pieces to conduct. Madame Butterfly, Puccini's opera Madame Butterfly is the hardest piece I've ever had to conduct. I've done 2 productions of it. In terms of 20th century pieces, the Christopher Rouse Trombone Concerto is the most rhythmically complex thing. But to be honest with you, I'm so fully immersed any given rehearsal in the challenges of that piece feels like the hardest thing I've ever had to do. Because I just, these composers, they're such geniuses, and I want to get the musicians to rise to the occasion and really nail it and really give a compelling performance. So, every single time I'm always sort of feeling, I'm not worthy of this piece, and God, I wish I had one more rehearsal, and things like that.
Now, is the goal then to in any way make it your own and the symphony's own, or is the goal to do the opposite of that?
Stay true to the piece.
I'm a composer's advocate. My task as a conductor is to figure out what's the statement that the piece is being made by this composer. Not just the overall piece, every movement, every section, every phrase, every note. What does it mean? What is reflective of the human experience in this piece, in this note, in this phrase, blah, 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 and then to bring that to life. You can't help, even though I start from the score, I certainly listen to recordings, any conductor does that, but I try, like I say, I'm a composer's advocate. I try to just start from my interpretation from what I see in the score, hacking through it on the piano myself, and try to get closer and closer and closer to that composer's intention. But there's no escaping it. My personality is in that interpretation.
I would think so,
It's like any stage director, anybody. You're reading that Shakespeare and coming to your own conclusions about what it means, and then bringing that to life with the actors. It's the same for a conductor. I'm not really so much consciously trying to say, well, this is the Randy Fleischer way, you know what I'm saying, or anything like that. I'm trying to get to the Brahms way, or in this way, the Gershwin way, or whatever. But it's filtered through my experience, my emotions, me.
We're going to see your style on stage here in just about half an hour, about an hour now. Out of the blue, I watched a YouTube video last week before we knew we were going to have you on about the different styles of conductors, where some are very subtle in their movements, and some are much less or more so, like lots of movement.
Wilder.
So how would you describe your style of conducting?
God, I think I'm the last person to ask that. It's torture for me to watch video of my own
Try
conducting.
listening to yourself all the time.
Yeah, I'm sure we're all this, self-conscious about whatever is our thing that we do. But I think I'm somewhat on the wilder side, but less and less as I get older. That's a thing I can do more with less wildness. And the older I get, the more I try to be subtle and kind of get out of the way of the musicians. In the post-Leonard Bernstein era, there is this expectation that the conductor is a sort of dancer-entertainer figure. And he was a genius musician. I studied with him, and I knew him. And the musicianship was so real. The genius was so real. But he was also a showman. He was absolutely aware of the audience watching him, and he put on a dazzlingly brilliant show for them. 95% of his conducting wasn't that, but there's that little 5% of showbiz in LB. Once in a blue moon, I'm thinking, you know what, I better make sure I give the cymbal crash cue clear enough, not only so that the person crashing the cymbal sees it, but the audience doesn't think I missed it, something like that. But mostly I'm about joining the musicians together. That's what a conductor does. I'm the glue, and as much as I can do to get out of the way and let them do their thing and feed them the sort of psycho-emotional content of the piece as they play, so that they play in a committed and dramatic and emotional way, that's my task.
So you have a rock star vibe to you, man, with the passion, dark sunglasses, black T-shirt, black pants. You come from your father was a musician.
Yep.
If you weren't conducting, what would you be doing?
I don't know how to do anything else.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a rock band, a rock project called Rocktopia, which has toured the country a couple times and had a 6-week residency on Broadway this last March and April.
Congratulations.
So thank you. And I've done many other rock fusion projects with a lot of great, John Cale from the Velvets, Sterling Morrison, Velvet Underground, Garth Hudson from the band, Ani Kavafian, Natalie Merchant, the list goes on.
I read that you worked with Natalie Merchant. I've been a fan of them since 10,000 Maniacs.
Yeah, exactly. And I did a thing with the 10,000 Maniacs also in the post-Natalie era. I'm a huge rock and roll fan. I've done some native fusion works too with several native fusion bands. So I have this curiosity as a composer, arranger, and as a conductor. It's like, well, what if somebody did that? Well, I'm somebody, so I'll do it. And I hooked up with a dear friend of mine, Rob Evan, who's sung with the Utah Symphony a number of times, who used to tour with Trans-Siberian Orchestra and has a passion for, he's an operatically trained tenor who's gone the sort of Broadway rock version, sang Jean Valjean and Les Mis on Broadway, and he was one of the original Jekylls and Jekyll and Hyde, blah, blah, blah. So Rob and I hooked up as brothers in this quest for symphonic rock fusion. Rocktopia is a successful project. We're touring Ohio, Pennsylvania, and New York this fall. I just think of myself as an American musician, mostly classical, but fully conversant and immersed in the vernacular of my day.
And tonight is awesome. It's a little different. Explain the format here this evening.
It's a Sinatra Ella tribute with some of the original Nelson Riddle arrangements for both. Frank Sinatra. This was put together by my agent John Such, who's also a producer and packager of Pop's programs. Both Carpathia and Tony are phenomenal talents. They were both involved in crafting this program, and especially Tony, who's a really busy, I wouldn't say Sinatra impersonator. He's one of these guys that does tribute shows to Sinatra. He's a phenomenal jazz, classical, blues pianist. So between John and Carpathia, and Tony, this program was put together. Ella and Frank loved each other. They had a profound respect for each other. And especially Sinatra was in awe of Ella, even though Sinatra was the way bigger star. And if you see footage of them performing together, you can actually see when she starts to scat, Frank, like all of us, would just stand there like we're seeing some, I don't know what's to say, some prophet from heaven singing to us in this fully improvised musical language that she made up, not only in general in terms of really bringing human scatting to jazz, but she was making it up on the spot. So you can see he's just like, because he was very, very gifted and well-trained musician. Sinatra was the real deal. He wasn't just a pretty boy with a great voice. He had a lot of input with Nelson Riddle in, if you read his books, they talk about the relationship in crafting all these brilliant arrangements. Doesn't take away Nelson Riddle's genius one bit. He was a genius, but Frank had a lot to say. So he was the real deal as a musician. And all of us can't help but be in awe of both of them, really. So this show and the chemistry between Carpathia and Tony is phenomenal. And they both have this, it was just on the ride up, Tony said, he fell in love with swing era music. That was his parental rebellion music. Because his parents were, rock and roll fans,
Don't you listen to that swing.
Exactly. You'll fall in with the wrong crowd. You know what I'm saying?
That's funny.
That's a great line. So it's a real tribute. The original arrangements, many of them, also some tribute. I have a couple of arrangements in the show where the two are combined very nicely in a similar sort of loving way to really expose the talents of these two wonderful singers in the same way that Frank and Alla did when they sang together.
Now, you were talking about the awe of musicians. Is there something out there that has just frightened you since the beginning that you need to do?
I need to do?
Or something that is just simply
like
beyond.
a bucket list? No.
Well, something like that, but something that is just out of sheer, fear or awe of not,
Well, you know what? I'm always fearful. Every single rehearsal and every single concert, I hear that A and it goes, and I remember working, because some people have the notion that amateurs get nervous and professionals don't. Let me tell you, that is not true.
So it's okay to be nervous.
I did 4 shows at the Hollywood Bowl with the LA Phil and Kenny Rogers about 13 years ago. So Kenny was in his 60s, had been on the top of the country, game for 40 some years.
Yeah.
He could barely form a sentence. He was that nervous. And God bless Kenny Rogers. He put on a great show every time. We're all nervous to do it. Well, like, for instance, classically, I'm doing my first Bach B minor mass this year. That's 2 hours of utter complexity, utter genius, and it's an enormous task to feel like I'm on top of every single note in all of that complex texture. Wow. So I'm in the learning stage now. That's on my bucket list. I've done Mahler 1, 2, 4, and 5. Want to do Mahler 8? Just pieces like that. In terms of, rock artists, we're talking with Robert Plant about getting involved in Rocktopia. Obviously, one of my mashups is with Kashmir. So the notion of, Robert Plant actually singing my arrangement of his song would be like,
I hope that happens for you.
Dream come true. Well, Dee Snider's going to do it. We've also Pat Monahan from Train did Rocktopia for 3 weeks on Broadway. So sure, I've worked with Yo-Yo Ma. There are others I would love to work with. Long. I met him, never worked with him. Things like that. There are artists on the planet that I would love to work with before I kick the bucket.
So you're nowhere near done yet.
No, sir.
All right, there is about 45 minutes to show. So before we let you go, one last thing. What is the state of classical music in 2018? Have you seen a rise in popularity at events and orchestras because of the ability to get the word out, social media and communication?
Classical music is struggling, as it always has, an uphill battle because it's just a different kind of entertainment. If you go to a U2 show, not only are the songs great, the visuals are spectacular. But classical music is entirely aural, A-U-R-E-L. It's an ear thing. So it can be tricky for us to compete. In addition to that, these latest generation of TV talk show hosts don't bring the classical musicians on like Johnny did, like Merv Griffin did, like Dick Cavett. I remember talking with violinist Itzhak Perlman. He did the Tonight Show with Johnny 45 or 46 times. Wow. Jay Leno came in, done. I remember seeing Merv Griffin.
We need to make a call.
Exactly. Having Orson Welles on to read Shakespeare. And that was the way he was closing the show. And he was like giddy. He's like, oh my God, Orson's going to come on. He's going to read some Shakespeare. He's going to read. So the previous generation of pop culture doorkeepers, or gatekeepers, if you will, were really advocates for classical music, even though they knew that wasn't going to sell any sponsorship, that wasn't going to make them rich quickly or anything like that. But this current generation, we're sort of removed from those talk shows. And what serves as classical music on PBS now is more shows like my show, Rocktopia, or Celtic Woman, or, Three Irish Tenors, things like that.
Show in the show.
So real classical music in its pure form is less and less visible. And my daughter's 18. She's a huge participant in Instagram and all this kind of stuff. But the kids are busy making their own videos and sending them to each other. And the kind of, 40-minute symphony, sit down and focus on it, a culture that classical music isn't kind of what's really hot on social media these days.
But podcasts are hot, and I'm wondering if there's a way to fuse that.
Podcasts are hot, and we're trying. I mean, I'm happy to say, knock wood, my 3 orchestras are doing fine. The Utah Symphony is doing very, very well. But I remember, when my one little private lesson with Leonard Bernstein, we had lunch together and everything. We talked mostly about this, that it's an uphill climb for classical music in our culture. Classical music is still huge in Europe. It's still cool if you're a 20-something hipster to go hear a symphony concert or an opera or things like that. Here, it's more a thing that mommy and daddy go back to after their kids are grown and they have some money and some time. But it's an uphill climb that we're climbing, but it's still uphill.
Randall, thanks so much for your time tonight.
My pleasure, guys.
Good luck with the performance. Now we are lucky enough to sit down with Melissa Klein, the executive director of the Ogden Symphony Ballet Association. And I hear, rumor is, this is a fairly new position for you. Is that true?
It is. I've only been here since February. Prior to being the executive director, I was actually the development director for OSBA, and I had been in that position for roughly 10 months. So yeah, I've been there just a little over a year total now.
So what do the new responsibilities entail? Are you doing both jobs?
No, we have an excellent new development director. His name is Taylor Knuth, and he just came in April and hit the ground running. So
we love Taylor. He's one of the reasons why our sort of connections is with him. So
he is fantastic and a superstar. So he has taken over the development responsibilities, and I've moved into more of the financial, overseeing the season, just the general logistics of things on a day-to-day basis.
All right, so take us through the vision of the Ogden Symphony Ballet Association that is neither a symphony or a ballet.
Discuss.
Maybe we can use this time to clear that up a little bit. Yeah,
let's clear that
up. So the association has a long history here in Ogden. We started around 1949, bringing the Utah Symphony to Ogden. And so that was really their primary goal for a long time. They brought the symphony, then they started bringing the ballet. And so that's how it became the Ogden Symphony Ballet Association.
So if you had brought in like cowboy poets or something,
the name would
have been a longer name.
It would be a different story now. Yes. So we're a presenting organization. We have about 20 performances each year. We just started a brand new dance series last year that we're really excited about, bringing in contemporary dance and as well as classical ballet from across the country. So that's something really new, and you can see things that you're just not seeing elsewhere, just right here in Ogden. So that's something that we're really proud of. And we do have a fair number of Utah Symphony performances, and they are all excellent.
So tonight we're at Snowbasin, and it's like a fused event here this evening. Tell us a little bit about tonight's event, and then some of the other venues in which you bring the artists to.
So this is kind of a unique situation here because this is the first time we've ever had 2 performances at Snowbasin in 1 year. So we had the one at the end of June, and then we were offered this one in August, and we just jumped on it. We're so excited. So excited to have them back. So that's kind of how this came about, and we felt like the program, the Frank Sinatra and Ella Fitzgerald, would be just really popular with this audience, and it has been really successful. So we would love to do more up here at Snowbasin. It's gorgeous, a gorgeous place for a concert.
Yeah, you couldn't have chosen a better place.
No.
It's beautiful up here, and the weather's really nice right now. It's cooler than it is down in town.
People are actually carrying jackets, which this is the greatest thing. I love it.
Well,
And
quite cool
blankets,
once
yeah.
the sun gets done.
I got burned last time. Well, I guess I should say I got frozen last time because I did not prepare and I spent the whole concert trying to not have frostbite. So this time I brought my jacket, I brought my blanket, and I'm ready for anything. And I have closed-toed shoes, which was
Look at you prepared.
Prepared.
So you needed that second show. So you can
Yes.
truly enjoy the second.
Now I know. Yeah.
All right. Other venues include.
So most of our performances are at the Browning Center at Weber State. Occasionally we do a show at Peary's. We did last year Scheherazade at Peary's Egyptian Theater, which was really cool. Always loved to be able to do a show there. This year we're really exciting because we're excited because we are bringing
I think
in...
you're very exciting.
we
nailed it the first time.
We can be both. But anyway, we have a group coming in from Britain. They're called the Queen Six, and they are an a cappella vocal group.
Wow.
And again, one of those things you won't see anyplace else. They actually are in residence at Windsor at the castle. So those guys sang at Prince Harry's wedding. So that's kind of their recent claim to fame. It's really exciting.
Oh, we got some questions to ask them.
Yeah, and they look like really fun. If you look at their Instagram account, the Queen Six, they just look like really fun guys.
Where'd you find them?
Just their management reached out with a roster and told us that they were going to be, involved in the wedding, and we thought that is just the best thing that we could bring. So this concert actually is going to be at Holy Family Catholic Church, and it's the first time we've ever kind of branched out and done that. So that's kind of a big deal.
That's exciting.
And most of their performances, if you look at their website or search them on YouTube, they're in that cathedral type setting, and that acoustics really just works well for them. So that's fun. And then one more thing I'd like to mention, we're going to be embarking on a new adventure this April. We're going to be presenting the Ogden Bach Festival. We're actually presenting it and partnering with some other arts organizations in the community, which is a really big deal for us. We're so excited. And those are going to we'll be back at Holy Family again. We'll be at St. Paul's Lutheran, and we're going to be at the Tabernacle in Ogden. So it's going to be a multi-day free Bach event, all things Bach.
All the
Super
Bach
fun.
you can handle.
Pretty
Todd.
much.
I got to come up with a lot of Bach puns.
Prepare
for that
yourself.
week.
Well, we heard one earlier today on that Bach to the Future event.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be ready.
This is a Bach wearing sunglasses kind of event.
Oh, I love
You
it.
can picture it. Yeah.
This is gonna be impressive.
That's
And you
fantastic.
can't get any better taking it to the community, literally to the community, like into the neighborhoods.
That's what we wanted to do, make it accessible and free and just something fun and light for everyone. And they can learn, enjoy it and learn.
Melissa,
thank you for that.
Thank you so much
Yeah.
for spending some time with us, and congrats on the new position there at the
Thank
Ogden
you.
Symphony Ballet Association. That is neither a symphony or a ballet, but brings those to us here in Ogden so we get to enjoy them.
See, that makes a lot
Thank
more
you.
sense to me now. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Awesome.
Thanks for
Melissa.
being here.
Yeah.
Have a great night.
You too.
Finally, we went on a hard hat tour last week.
It was on First Friday Art Stroll.
Yep, down there. So the Monarch building, which is under construction right now, will serve as the epicenter for the Nine Rails Arts District here in Ogden. And we went on a tour for that. Now, it's about 45 minutes, I think, depending on who's in your group during those tours, right?
Exactly. Thaine has set aside pretty much as much time as you need. He'll give a tour. It's a customized tour, there's no question. And so you can ask questions throughout. The man knows his stuff. After the tour, he stuck around and he spoke with all of us, if we had any additional questions as well. And so I'd still set aside hour and 15 minutes. We probably got about an hour and 15 minutes of content.
Yeah.
And so we will not be playing that in full, but we will give you a nice little teaser, of that information. These tours do run. I do know they run first Fridays. I think they do it maybe every other Friday. Check out the Monarch's Facebook page. You can RSVP through, I think, an event page on that.
Here's a teaser of what you can expect when you take the Monarch
Thaine Fischer,
hard hat
and
tour.
basically we're the developer of the Monarch. And I originally grew up in Montana, graduated, went to Arizona for college, stayed there for about 25 years, and then wanted to go back to the seasons. Arizona was fun to be in college, but a little hot long term. So we moved here in 2004-ish and have two little girls, and we've been basically trying to develop or redevelop a historical building a year. So since 2006, we're on our 9th building. And so that's kind of really my story. It's been a really crazy, fun, sometimes a very stressful experience, but you know, we do this for a couple reasons. So we've basically been reaching out to not just the Ogden community, but really the entire Wasatch community to let them know about the Monarch and our new creative district, which is the 9 Rails Creative District. So we're super, super excited. We're going to talk a little bit about that today on the tour. We basically bought this building in 2011. And the history of this building is in the late 1920s, originally the Reed Hotel burned down and it was basically rebuilt as the Bigelow in the late 1920s. This particular building was built as the garage, a parking garage, service garage for the Bigelow for that reason. And it actually, if you can imagine cars driving from the East Coast out west, they weren't to the same standard and neither were the roads as they are today. So when they got here, they needed service and repairs. So they actually could bring in and service their car while they stayed before they took for their next trip. For that purpose, we were one of the first types of auto garages of its type, and that allowed us to put it on the National Register. So in 2002, we put this building on the National Register. We basically have been trying to figure out what we're going to do with this building since then. And about 3 to 4 years ago, we felt like we had a good idea from the programming standpoint. We had to figure out some parking issues. Obviously, as urban downtown cores develop, parking's an issue. So we actually figured that out. I'll explain that to you as we move through the tour. And we decided and was able to get financing at the beginning of 2018. And then we started the development process of the Monarch. We're burying this power line, and the 2 power lines across the street. That's all going underground. Once we do that, we'll actually put festive string lights up above here, all the white lights that you see for outdoor lighting. So this will be a parking lot as we need it to be, but it'll also serve as an outdoor event space. Across the street, we have a nonprofit called Ogden First, O1 Arts, and we actually put in platforms, and they've been programming those platforms for about the last 2 years. As part of the 9 Rails Creative District, you know, really embracing having the murals and this, you know, they did the Painted Street project, was fantastic. We're really excited on what Ogden City has plans for this new creative district. So we really want to be a big part of it. So this will be a future restaurant space, and we'll open up this wall and allow it for, you know, indoor outdoor seating. So you'll have a patio on the other side, and basically we have about 2 to 3 feet of restaurant patio space for the building. So we have what we call our bookends. This will be a restaurant on this side. The other side will be, you know, breakfast, corner bakery. We talk in vision for what we would like to see in the programming of the building. So if there's anybody that wants to open a restaurant, let them know that there's a great space. So this door we had to put in for fire exiting standpoint. This was an original opening. We have to pretty much keep all the original openings because it's on the historical register. So there's certain exceptions that we can do, but primarily, you know, keeping it on the register, you have to keep all your openings and all your historical elements that make it important for their requirements. Behind us is going to be our main entrance. So we're actually going to have 2 very large gates. There were gates there originally. They will be we'll put 2 large gates back, and then they'll come in. And then there's an actual beam there with a white plumbing pipe in front of it. That's going to be a storefront. So we'll recess the storefront back. On the north side, obviously, it'll be outdoors. On the other side, it'll be indoors. But we'll still have a lot of covered area. So we have an indoor private event space that we're going to go up to right now. But if you're dropping off, picking up, it allows people to be in a covered area, not out in the elements. We upgrade all the electrical, mechanical, plumbing, seismic, and structural. One of the largest costs of this building is the seismic and structural costs to bring it up to code. This is going to be approximately a 10,000 square foot private event space. So our goal is that we have an occupancy for this space of roughly 900. We can do sit downs to about, with a 10 top, I think we're somewhere between 350 and 400 people. So the goal for this space, if you can visualize it, is we want to go with more of an industrial elegance. So if you can imagine some chandeliers with drapes, but still incorporating a lot of the steel, wood, concrete, and brick. So on all our spaces, they're really programmed to coordinate with one another. So our goal is to run 3,000 to 5,000 people a month through the private event space. But that's foot traffic that we bring into the building through the private events, and we will expose them to the rest of the amenities, which we will show in a little bit later. So then we also have the restaurants as well, restaurants, coffee shop. So with that creates a lot of traffic. We also want to have, and they feed off each other. Our restaurant will hopefully pick up a lot of the catering for the private event space. Same thing with coffee shop, bakery. They can pick up coffee, desserts, etc. So having this activity in this is an important part of it, as well as being able to do 1,500 to 1,000 to 1,500 people outside on the upper deck. Another way to create activity within the building. We'll be done with the entire core and shell by the end of this year. And then we'll basically start our tenant improvements sometime in the fourth quarter, and we technically could be open in the spring. Okay, so this is going to be part of our creative space. So the whole facility, we want to basically go as a creative center. So we look at anything from art to architecture. And so what we've tried to do, we've been reaching out to people that we look at, if they have something that's creative in nature with them as a profile, we reach out to them and basically invite them on the tour. And it's also a great way for us to basically have community interaction while we're under construction, and again, awareness. So we definitely want to get the word out. So these are original roof hats. It brings in amazing natural light. We'll do studio spaces along the sides. Right now, we're looking at about a 300 square foot studio space. So if you can look at that string, imagine me as a wall. We'll have a 10-foot wall that'll come out to about the end of that shear wall. It'll go up 10 feet high. We'll have a security mesh, and then we'll have some sort of storefront or 8-foot door that'll open up into this atrium area. And so we're looking at renting out basically 300 square foot studio spaces. And they basically can be, we're looking at flexible wall systems, so we don't have to do TIs every time somebody wants to make a difference, so we can just unlock them and lock them. They're pre-wired electrically. So if somebody says, well, I actually want 600 square feet, they can have 600 square feet. They want 900 square feet. So we're looking at somewhere between multiples of 250 to 300 square feet as the smallest. This is where everybody says, how much? And so we haven't started leasing and fixed into a rate until we know what our true costs are going to be, but they're going to range somewhere between $350 to $500 a month, and that includes everything, utilities, the whole 9 yards. So this is an elevator shaft that goes to all 3 levels. Our entry for the building, we have one off of Ogden Avenue, which is right, once we go downstairs, you'll see where you can come in. We also have an entry off of 25th Street. So our address is it's 25th Street in Ogden, or Ogden and 25th Street. So we like our address. This is our nonprofit space. We want to have an art or some sort of exhibit space in our building, and we're hoping that 01 Arts will come in here. They have basically 4 initiatives, which is exhibit, platforms, which is across the street, walls, and panes. And so we are hoping that they basically would come in and take this space, so we would have a very strong art exhibit showing where we can do local, state, national, international. But the idea is that we have all this restaurant and private event space, but it brings awareness to the exhibit and vice versa. People can come here, see an exhibit, and then go participate in the restaurant. So everything kind of feeds and tides off one another. Again, if you can imagine that, having a coffee shop, and this is all going to be covered patio. Wow. So this is part of the common area of the space. So this will all be, concrete, 1 level, covered patio, right across the street from the Arts Plaza, with the ability to watch a movie on the outside of the Bigelow. So this is the space that the Ogden City's maker space they're looking to do. We had to actually condominiumize this space to be able to sell it. So we carved out about 15,000 square feet, and basically their vision is to have a maker space. Does everybody know, who does not know what a maker space is? We got one. Okay, so I'm right there with you. It's like a gym for engineers, so to speak. So, we all go to the gym if you want to have weight machines, treadmills, and that. We don't want to buy those, we just want to use them. So this would be a similar arrangement where you'd have memberships, but there would be 3D printers, CNC machines, electronics lab, wood workshop, things that you can actually use and come in and be a member is what I've been told. So they're looking to collaborate with others to create a makerspace. So they have this in escrow for 2 years to understand what that concept is. Well, no, thank you, you guys. I really appreciate everybody coming out. And again, you know, we do this to get community input. If you guys have ideas, you can Facebook me. And, you know, I would just encourage that, you know, please let the community know that we're here. Have them join a tour if you've had fun. And again, if you like it, put it out to social media. And if you really, I'm completely sincere, if there's a concern or a question, send it to me. I'll answer it.
And that's a wrap for episode 2 of the Nine Rails Arts Podcast, produced by the Banyan Collective, arts and adventure podcasting since 2010. You can follow the Nine Rails Arts Podcast on Facebook and also on Instagram. Todd is running the Instagram. He's learning. We got him doing stories
I'm
this
bringing
last
it
week.
up to like first year. Yeah. No, I did my first Instagram story. Yeah.
It was pretty good. So follow us on the Instagram. It's at the number 9 Rails on Insta, or search the Banyan Collective on iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify to follow along with all of our podcasts. And each week we'll leave you with the Nine Rails. Well, we said we were going to leave you with something from Van Sessions or maybe a live musical performance.
It's a Banyan session. I said Banyan. It's a Banyan
session.
Collective live performance.
That's right, from Good Company Theater's production. It was our private screening of their rehearsal of Green Day's American Idiot.